People think success smells like leather chairs and fresh coffee in a conference room with too much glass. But if you ask me, success smells like that faint, metallic sting you get in your nose before a nosebleed. Something's coming, and it ain't pretty. Before I tell you the full story of the craziest day of my life, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like our video. Help us reach as many people as possible. Thank you. Let me rewind. My name's Miles Carrigan, 34, single, not by choice, and a junior strategist at Vireo, a sleek, cutthroat branding agency in Chicago that drinks ambition for breakfast and spits out burnout by lunch. We called ourselves architects of identity, which is just a fancy way of saying we lied for money. I was never the loudest in the room, or the best dressed, or the guy with the alpha handshake that made interns wince, but I had one thing, ideas, real ones, the kind that came at 3 a.m. in the shower or while dodging potholes on my commute. They came uninvited and stayed rent-free, and one of them, that one changed my life and nearly ended it. It all started on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are the meanest day of the week. Mondays still carry the illusion of possibility. Wednesdays are a desperate climb. But Tuesdays, they're just heavy. I was on my third cup of sludge from the breakroom Keurig when my manager, Todd, with his blue suits and whiter-than-white veneers, slithered into my cubicle. "Hey, buddy," he said, flashing the smile he reserved for people beneath him. Todd always called me buddy the way a wolf might call a lamb pal. "You knew something bad was coming. You're on the deck team for Project Hummingbird," he said, like he was handing out a winning lottery ticket. "The CEO will be at the pitch. Big stakes, don't screw it up." I nodded, hiding my caffeine tremor. Project Hummingbird was our code name for a luxury electric car rebrand. Sleek, expensive, mysterious, exactly the kind of thing Vireo loved. To rope in with buzzwords like experiential synergy and bold transparency. I worked like a madman. I lived inside that Google Drive folder. I spoke in hex codes and font families. And then at 2:17 a.m. on a Friday morning, because inspiration has no respect for sleep, I cracked it. The idea, not a campaign, a movement. We'd make the brand invisible. No logo, no name, just the outline of a hummingbird in different contexts. It would live in whispers, in speculation, in shadows. We'd sell the feeling of driving something no one could explain, the luxury of anonymity. I knew it was genius, dangerous too. Clients hate not understanding things, but it was the kind of dangerous that made people lean in, the kind that changed careers. So I emailed the draft to Todd. No subject line, no preamble, just a bold title, Luxury is Silence. A week passed, nothing, until the day of the pitch. I sat in the back of the glass conference room with the rest of the worker bees, clutching my lukewarm latte like a rosary. Todd stood at the head of the table, flanked by 2 screens, one showing sleek, mood-lit slides. The other, the cold face of our CEO, Veronica Wexler, beamed in from New York. She had the charisma of a guillotine and the patience of a piranha. Todd started talking, and I froze. Every single word was mine. "Luxury isn't about being seen," he said, pacing like a TED Talk reject. "It's about being remembered without a trace," he clicked. Slide change, outline of a hummingbird carved into snow. My slide, my concept, my breath stuck somewhere between my lungs and throat. He hadn't changed a thing, except the author. On the final slide, in bold Arial font, Concept by Todd Mercer. No footnote, no credit. I turned cold, but it got worse. Veronica unmuted herself. "That," she said slowly, "is the most original idea I've heard this quarter." I watched Todd's spine straighten like he'd grown 2 inches. "I want this implemented," she continued. "Today you're a damn visionary, Todd." Todd didn't blink. Just smiled, and then he looked straight at me, a smirk. That's when I realized he knew I'd be watching. He wanted me to watch. After the meeting, I confronted him in the hallway outside the bathroom, where all corporate drama happens. "You stole my concept," I said, my voice low. Todd chuckled. Actually chuckled. "Relax, buddy. You think ideas matter? It's not about the what, it's about the who. And you're not the who." I stood there, blinking. He patted my shoulder. Be proud. You're part of something big, just not visibly. That was the moment something in me cracked, a clean, sharp fracture, and in that crack something crawled in. Not rage, not despair, calculation. I became quiet. In meetings, I nodded. I took notes. I played the invisible man Todd believed I already was, but behind my laptop screen I plotted. Because Todd hadn't just stolen my idea, he'd given me a reason, a deadline, a target. That was 2 months ago. Since then, Hummingbird had exploded. Industry blogs drooled over it. Investors raved. Our stock ticked upward. And Todd was everywhere. LinkedIn posts, podcasts, guest panels, talking about his vision. He started walking like he couldn't feel the ground. He wore suits that shimmered like oil, called me chief of vibes in front of clients like I was his pet genius. But the more he rose, the more I noticed. His cracks. He had a tell. Most narcissists do. He couldn't resist the sound of his own voice, especially when no one else was watching. And that was where my revenge began. I made myself indispensable. I got closer. I offered to ghostwrite his LinkedIn posts. I volunteered to polish his podcast scripts. I started saving everything, every note, every edit, every recorded Zoom call where he brainstormed with me, and I fed him lines like a ventriloquist. I created a digital trail so meticulous it could choke him. But that wasn't enough. No. I didn't just want justice. I wanted humiliation. Wanted him to look up from the podium of his success and realize the flaw had disappeared. And me, I'd be the one holding the saw. The opportunity came faster than I expected. Vireo announced a new initiative, the Rising Star Award, a company-wide recognition for innovation, creativity, and impact, chosen by the board, presented live at the annual gala, accompanied by a 5-minute speech and a press circuit. Todd was a finalist, of course, but so was I. Surprise. They'd pulled my name from the original email archives, the one I sent at 2:17 a.m. with the concept deck titled Luxury is Silence. Apparently, someone in legal flagged it when prepping for a potential trademark. The email metadata was ironclad. HR sent me a congratulatory Slack message with 3 exclamation points. Todd? He didn't say a word, but I saw him staring at me in the break room, knuckles white on his coffee cup. It had begun. Now, don't get excited. This isn't the part where I win the award and give a speech that burns the house down. That would be too simple. No. What I had planned was much, much messier, because in a company like Vireo, perception is currency. And I was about to bankrupt him, publicly, permanently. And all it would take, a single flash drive. But I'll get to that. Let's just say, if Todd thought silence was luxury, he was about to get very rich, in all the wrong ways. There's a unique silence that comes right before a bomb goes off. That thick, swollen quiet. That makes your skin itch, like the universe is holding its breath, waiting to see who's going to flinch first. That was Vireo, 1 week before the gala. On the surface, everything looked the same. Designers were still weeping softly into their noise-cancelling headphones. Junior execs were still comparing step counts, like anyone cared. Todd still strutted around like a rooster in Ferragamo shoes, adjusting his cufflinks like the cameras were already rolling. But under the surface, things were shifting, and I was the tectonic plate no one saw coming. Let me walk you through it. After I was announced as a finalist for the Rising Star Award, alongside Todd, he tried to play it cool, but narcissists don't do cool. They do erratic, sweaty control. First, he invited me to his office. That never happened. Miles, he said, all teeth and fake warmth. I'm so proud of you, really. To think you started here as a freelance deck monkey, and now look at you, getting recognized by the board. He paused, leaned in slightly. I just hope this whole award thing doesn't go to your head. You know how political these things are. Translation, if you breathe one word about who really created Hummingbird, I will bury you under a pile of NDAs and dead dreams. I smiled. You're right, Todd. It's all about teamwork. He relaxed. Idiot. Because while he was congratulating himself for intimidating me, I was finishing the last edits on the flash drive. I'd spent weeks collecting files, timestamps, chat logs, voice notes, screen recordings of our Zoom calls where he brainstormed my pitch word for word. I even had a Slack message where he wrote, and I quote, "Just pitch me some sexy nonsense, I'll dress it up for the CEO." Sexy nonsense. Yeah, that was going on a t-shirt after this. The gala was scheduled for Saturday night at a ritzy downtown hotel with too many chandeliers and not enough dignity. Black tie, open bar, hors d'oeuvres shaped like abstract art. The kind of event where Vireo's board pretends to be human for 2 hours before retreating to their penthouses and private jets. But I didn't need to wait until Saturday to start the show. No, my curtain rose on Wednesday. I scheduled a fake meeting with Todd on our shared calendar, something vague like strategy sync, then made sure he was distracted with a podcast interview downstairs in the studio. While he was busy trying to sound visionary, I plugged the flash drive into his laptop. I didn't plant anything malicious. I'm not a criminal, I just uploaded everything. Then I opened his Outlook, drafted an email to our internal press team, attached the files, wrote a subject line so benign it begged to be opened, "Supporting materials for the gala presentation." Then I saved it. Didn't send it. Just left it there, perfectly poised, for his itchy, distracted fingers to click and send later in a rush. Because Todd never proofread anything. He skimmed, clicked, smiled, and moved on. And that's exactly what he did Thursday morning. At 8:47 a.m., the entire company received an email from Todd Mercer titled, "Supporting materials for the gala presentation." Attached, my entire case. Panic spread through the office like a gas leak. The files weren't labeled dramatically. No exposing Todd the fraud folder. Just a neat directory named Hummingbird Pitch Archive, Authorship. But once you opened it, game over. One of the interns, God bless him, posted a screenshot in the company Slack before anyone could stop him. The thread exploded. Suddenly people were digging, comparing, listening, reading, connecting dots. Todd's podcast quotes matched my Zoom notes word for word. The Luxury is Silence pitch deck was clearly authored by me, email headers, timestamps, metadata. And just like that, the silence was deafening. Todd emerged from his office 2 hours later, pale and twitchy. His shirt was wrinkled, and his hair had that slightly unhinged tilt, like he'd run his fingers through it too many times. He walked over to my cubicle, eyes darting like he was afraid of being seen talking to me. "What the hell did you do?" "I didn't send the email, Todd," I said honestly. He froze. I held up my hands. "Check the email logs. I didn't press send. You did." He stood there fuming. "That was private material." "Sure, but you attached it to an all-staff email. So, not so private now, huh?" His jaw worked like he was chewing gravel. "You think this is funny?" I leaned in. "I think it's poetic." Then I turned back to my screen. And that? That was the moment I became dangerous to him, because I didn't yell, I didn't gloat. I didn't run to HR with a folder of receipts. I just sat there and let him burn. Friday was chaos. Upper management started investigating. HR called us both in, separately. I gave them everything, calmly, neatly, without bitterness, just facts, dates, attachments. "Todd?" He tried to charm his way out, claimed we co-created the idea, that I was misinterpreting collaboration as theft, that I'd sabotaged him out of jealousy. But you know what HR hates more than scandal? Documentation. And I had it all. The board was furious. Not because Todd stole credit, please, they'd all done worse, but because he'd been sloppy about it. And now there was public drama, internal drama, legal risk, all on the eve of the company's most visible event of the year. By the time I left work Friday night, Todd's name had been quietly removed from the gala program. The Rising Star Award, still mine to win. But that wasn't the revenge. No, that was just a symptom. The real revenge, it was already in motion, and it had nothing to do with awards. Saturday arrived. I wore a black suit, simple, clean, no frills. I looked like the ghost of a man you underestimated. The gala ballroom was glistening with corporate vanity. Giant screens showed looping footage of our best campaigns. Waiters in bow ties offered wine and canapes shaped like microchips. I smiled, mingled, laughed politely and watched. Todd showed up late. He was no longer glowing, he was graying. People whispered, avoided eye contact. He shook a few hands, got a few awkward pats on the back. But he wasn't the star anymore, he was radioactive. And then the moment came. Veronica Wexler herself took the stage. "Tonight, we honor bold ideas," she said, scanning the room. "And the people brave enough to create them." She called my name. I walked up to polite applause. Nothing thunderous, but clean, sincere. I gave a short speech, thanked the team, thanked the company. Didn't mention Todd once because oblivion is a more elegant punishment than accusation. When I stepped off stage, I caught his eyes across the room. He looked like he wanted to scream, but couldn't. Silence, after all, is luxury. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. That's a lie. It's best served slowly, painstakingly, plated under a spotlight, while your enemy is forced to smile through every bite. And that's exactly how Todd ate his last supper at Vireo. Let me tell you how it tasted. After the gala, things didn't explode right away. Oh no, Vireo's board is too PR-obsessed for anything as vulgar as a public firing. They prefer what I call death by calendar invite. Todd's inbox, once bloated with praise and power lunches, began to starve. No more brainstorming sessions, no more vision alignment syncs, no more flattering quick pings from Veronica asking for his strategic insight. It was beautiful. By Monday, his office door stayed closed. By Wednesday, his nameplate had vanished. And by Friday, he was gone. No memo, no farewell email. Just a line in the org chart replaced with interim director TBD, HR of course, said it was a mutual decision. Sure, and I'm a fairy godmother in business casual, but that wasn't enough for me. Because here's the thing, Todd didn't just steal credit. He rewrote history in real time. He gaslit an entire company into thinking I was his assistant with aspirations. And when the truth came out, I didn't just want to be proven right. I wanted to ensure he could never do it again. Anywhere. That's where LinkedIn came in. I created a burner account. Name Daniel Rios. Profession, tech industry recruiter. No profile photo, just enough connections to make it believable. A few VCs, a few CMOs, one AI bot with a tie. Then I messaged Todd. "Hey, Todd, heard about your transition. Would love to chat about a new opportunity at an AI-centric agency in Chicago. Confidential for now, but your experience at Vireo would be a huge asset. Interested?" Of course he bit. Nothing feeds the ego like the word headhunted. I set up a Zoom call using a voice changer, a blurry background and a script. Todd showed up in a blazer over a wrinkled t-shirt, hair gelled aggressively, smile desperate. He pitched himself like a man trying to resell a used mattress, overconfident, suspiciously eager and kind of sweaty. "I was driving innovation at Vireo," he said, "but the leadership didn't always support disruption." Translation: "They found out I was a fraud and told me to disappear." I let him talk. I nodded. I asked leading questions like, "Would anyone from Vireo vouch for your authorship of the hummingbird concept?" He lied, of course, claimed he developed it over a weekend in Big Sur, whatever that means. I ended the call politely, promised a follow-up. Then I sent the full video to every agency recruiter I could find, from LA to DC, and then I posted a little story on Medium under my real name, "What to do when your boss steals your work and gaslights you into silence." No names, no direct accusations, just dates, quotes, verifiable details. It blew up. Within days, I was flooded with DMs former employees, current employees, even a few board members. Turns out, Todd had been borrowing brilliance for years. He'd left behind a trail of bitterness, broken NDAs and emotionally scorched earth. My article reached Forbes, and then Fast Company. They didn't name him, but they didn't need to. Everyone in the industry could connect the dots. But here's the poetic part. Todd did land a job at a startup in Denver, desperate enough to overlook the confusing exit from Vireo. For a while, I thought about letting him fade into irrelevance, but then I remembered how he once made me stay until 11 p.m. to redesign a deck he ruined, only to say, "You're lucky I give you this much visibility." So I made one last move. I contacted the Denver startup. Anonymously, of course, just a tip, a gentle whisper. You might want to check the authorship on Todd's last few projects. Start with the hummingbird pitch, happy to send files. Attached, the same flash drive folder. 3 weeks later, Todd was out of work again. His LinkedIn went dark. He updated his profile to consultant. Ah yes, the title of choice for fallen emperors. And I was promoted. Senior creative strategist, new office, more budget. And ironically, Todd's old assistant now reported to me. She cried when I gave her a raise and said, "Thank you for getting rid of that creep." I just smiled, sipped my coffee and moved on. Now I know what you're thinking. Wasn't that a bit much, Miles? Couldn't you just let karma do the work? No, because karma is lazy. Karma lets people like Todd fail upward for decades, leaving behind a trail of scorched ambition and therapy bills. Justice isn't waiting. Justice has a to-do list, and mine is checked off. The last time I saw Todd was in a coffee shop 6 months later. He didn't see me. He was in the corner, hunched over a cracked MacBook, arguing with someone over Zoom. I couldn't hear the words, but the body language screamed, "I swear I didn't know that was proprietary." He looked older, not in the good way, not wise or serene, more like expired. His shoulders sagged, his hair thinned, his energy, once so manic and smug, had curdled into something pitiful. I left without saying anything. He didn't deserve a final confrontation. He didn't even deserve closure. So now when people ask how I got where I am, how I became the strategist behind one of the fastest growing brand concepts in the country, I tell them the truth. I had a great mentor. Then I pause, smile and add, he taught me exactly what not to be.